This video is brought to you by
Auckland Photographer's Clothing.
In this lesson we talk about the auto mode or automatic mode. And actually this camera has several different automatic modes, but I tell you what mode to use and what mode maybe to avoid. And why even I as a pro photographer sometimes use the automatic mode. And the more options you know, the better you can use your camera because you can choose from the different options later. So let's hop on to my camera. As mentioned before, I use an entry-level camera by Sony. It's the 6100, costs around $500. Maybe you're using a same or similar camera or maybe a total different camera. Doesn't matter much because most of those things are similar with most of the cameras out there. So when I look at the dial wheel up here, we have a big auto mode and it actually says auto in green. And most of the people think, well, this is the best auto mode. But I can tell you it's not, because I think it's a stupid auto mode. The manufacturers say this is the most intelligent auto mode because the camera can really see what you want to photograph. For example, now it tells me, oh, this is a landscape. But when I now slightly move it to the side, it says, oh, it's a backlight situation. When I now point it on my camera guy here, it says, oh, it's a portrait situation. And when I now point it here in this direction, it says, oh, it's just a sunny situation. But yeah, the camera is just guessing, just estimating, might see some things in the image, but it's not as intelligent as I am. And there's also a big disadvantage in this mode because I cannot correct my exposure. Because maybe the camera gives me the wrong settings or it's a bit too dark, a bit too bright. Maybe you experienced the same when you wanted to take photos maybe of a person and the face was just total dark, but you wanted to have a face that is a bit brighter, that the person just looks a bit more beautiful. And sometimes the camera does not get it right because it says then maybe, oh, it's a sunny situation, I have to expose a bit darker. And in this situation, you can correct your exposure, but it's not possible in this auto mode. So, very easy, do not use that mode. But when you want to use an auto mode, go to P mode. So I just now set the camera on P. And in this mode, you can adjust some settings, but the other settings, the camera sets itself. And actually, the most important settings are shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. And ISO now in my example is set on ISO auto, so automatic mode in ISO, and shutter speed and the aperture, the thing with the F, is now also automatic. And in this mode, I can now look for different motifs, different stuff I want to photograph, and this is what we will do now. So you turn your camera now on P, and if it's not already, you put the ISO on ISO auto, and shutter speed and aperture will now be set by the camera automatic. But you can still make some slight corrections in the exposure, and how that works I will show you later. And for now I will look for 3 different motifs, 3 different things to photograph here. They should be totally different so that you have different things to see and to set with the camera, and we will observe how the settings change in the camera and what settings the camera chooses. So let's start with the first one. This is the first thing I want to photograph. It's just a simple shell here on that rock. We have a backlight situation. The sun is shining here on that shell. And I now point the camera, and I don't look through the viewfinder now here for explaining, but usually when I photograph, I look through the viewfinder, but with mirrorless cameras, it's the same image I see here in the viewfinder. So I look at my screen now, and the camera tells me, well, ISO 100, f 5.6 and 1/80th of a second. I take a photo, and the photo doesn't look too bad. Let's look for a second thing to shoot. The next thing I want to photograph are those beautiful flowers here. And I really like flowers, especially when I started with photography. I photographed so many different flowers. And here in this case, I would even zoom in a little bit here with my zoom lens. It's the kit lens, which comes with the camera usually. So it's also a very cheap lens, but good for beginners. So I zoom in, set the focus, so press halfway through here on my focus button. And now the camera says f8, ISO 100 and 1/200th of a second. So total different camera settings, but the picture doesn't look too bad. It's no big art, no original Jaworskyj, I would say now. It's not something I would print and hang in the gallery, but it's not bad either. And in this case here now, it's only for testing purpose, and it's the same for you. Don't try to create fancy and perfect art now, you're just beginning. Try to learn the camera settings first.
Hi, I'm Albert Ross, professional landscape photographer, and this is my Hawkland Parker Pro jacket. This red color is my personal signature edition. This is a great jacket system for outdoor photography. Why? It has multiple layers, not just this layer. It has a fleece layer, a mid layer and this outer layer. It's very waterproof, it's windproof and it's suitable for any kind of weather conditions. Anyone can wear it, but it's a jacket system aimed at photographers, meaning it has some very nice features like this little pocket with my lens cloth attached here. I can quickly take it out for my glasses or my lens or my filters. Then it has really big pockets here for accessories, and it has a lot of nice pockets inside for batteries, smartphone, SD cards. It's very convenient for me as a photographer to use, not only because of the weather, but also because of all these nice features.
Now for a short time with a free t-shirt for orders over $150 at www.hawkland.us. Hawkland, photographer's clothing.
Third image, I don't even move that much. I just photograph now from the same exact position where I photographed that flower, but now a more landscape, more wide shot here of this scenery. I'm here at Lanzarote and this is some hotel with some palm trees in the front. It's not the most beautiful palm tree here to the right, but still it's okay for testing purpose. The camera settings now are totally different. I have 1/400th of a second shutter speed, f8.0, and ISO is still on 100. So 3 different motives, 3 total different camera settings, and even though I photographed from the same position that flower and then later that hotel in the background, I had different camera settings. But why? I'm back here in the shadow with this beautiful shell, and as you remembered first, the shell was in the sun. And can you maybe even remember the camera settings? If not, just rewind. And now I will do something different. I will take the shell and put it in the shadow. And I tried to take the exact same photo, but this time in the shadow. And look at the camera settings now. f5.6, 1/60 of a second, and ISO 200. So the camera settings changed again when the light is changing. And that is actually what photography is about, capturing light, burning light on the camera sensor. What I wanted to show you with those 4 simple examples is that whatever situation you are photographing, your camera settings might be totally different. And even if you're standing at the same exact spot photographing in the exact same light, your camera settings still might be slightly different. And this is what the automatic modus does. It will just give you randomly some settings, just to make the exposure correct, that it's not too bright, not too dark, nothing behind it. So when you want a blurry background, when you want maybe a sharp background and sharp foreground, when you want to freeze in action, or when you want to have a long exposure, the camera does not know. How should it? The camera is only a camera and you are the human. You can say, the director, and you tell the camera what it should do, how you want the image to look like. And you can actually make some slight adjustments in brightness in the auto mode, or at least at the P auto mode. That's why I recommend this mode, and how that works I will show you now. So let's go back here on our little shell, and I set now something in the camera. I go here on that little square with the plus and minus in black and white. I will just click it here, and depending what camera brand you are using, you will find it at a different position. And now it is on plus minus 0.0. And what I want to do now is I want to have brighter images all the time. I don't want to photograph a proper exposed image, but a brighter image. So I set now, and I just click here to the right side, a plus 1.0 exposed image. And in simple terms, that means a brighter image. So it's not as properly exposed as before in auto mode, but a bit brighter. And we can test it now here with that little shell. I will now take the same photo, and not only in the camera settings, it's different now. Actually, it's not that much different. We have now here a 40th of a second, ISO 100, before that it was 200, and f4.0. And the ISO actually makes not much sense, but what happened? The f-stop changed, and as well the shutter speed changed. And the image, of course, looks brighter as well. All those terms, shutter speed, aperture, ISO, it's not important for now. The only thing that is important for you now is brighter and darker. Remember only those terms, because you want the image to be brighter or darker. And that's what we actually did now. So I just told the camera, whenever you photograph in auto mode, make it a bit brighter, +1. And when I want to set it back, I just go now back on that plus minus symbol, then on plus minus 0.0, and now everything is properly exposed. Sometimes it's here on the top dial wheel with some cameras. And this is a huge mistake a lot of people do not knowing, because sometimes by accident you turn that little wheel here and all the time it's on plus 2.0 maybe. And it's not only in the P mode, but as well in A mode and S mode. I will explain those modes later, but whenever this correction is activated, doesn't matter if plus or minus, your exposure is not right. So maybe you experienced, oh, all my images are too bright. Oh, all my images are too dark. The camera is broken. No, you just set that correction, maybe by accident, and did not turn it back. So what you should do now, and this is your first practice now, go in your camera, set your camera on P mode, and then just take 3 randomly selected images. The images should look different, maybe one in the shadow, one in the sunlight, maybe one close-up shot like from a beautiful flower, maybe zoomed in, something like this, and take different photos and look at the different camera settings, what the camera is telling is right or wrong. And then also go in the correction mode here with the plus minus symbol and set everything to +1. And then take the images again and look what suits you better. What do you like better? Do you like it a bit brighter? Do you like it maybe also a bit darker? You can try that with -1, for example, and then set it back to 0 that you don't forget that. Try that out, and I see you in the next lesson.
This video from my beginner's course Simply Learn Photography from 2023 is part of my photography legacy. Over a period of 5 years, I will publish my courses from learnfromben.com for free and with ads here on YouTube. So everyone can benefit from my knowledge regardless of budget. So subscribe now to the channel and spread the word. And do you want all 9 courses from the last 10 years immediately bundled together and without advertisement at a super affordable price? Then go now to learnfromben.com and get the XXL Bundle as an instant download or stream via the website at www.learnfromben.com. More than 22 hours of the finest learning content on photography, filming and image editing in all levels of skill. Link is in the description and in the comments below. And also check out the sales section with my signature tripods and defilters and books. Everything is on sale up to 60% off, as long as stocks last. Thank you for your support. Videos from the courses are published every Friday at 5:30 p.m. German time. My name is Jaworskyj and I wish you all some really good photos.